more violent and more exciting.
So it's actually the violence that got you into it.
And then the opportunity came to fight on the King's birthday, year 2000. Won a world title here on the Gold Coast against a gentleman called Scott Bannon. I stopped him in the second round with the knee to the body.
Ribs are reddened, folks. Now here come the knees, probably from Muay. Parr turns Bannon around against the rope. Bannon goes down. He's hurt. He's hurt. Stays behind. The new champion of the world.
The only person that can stop you from achieving is yourself. If I died in the cage, it'd suck. But at the same time, they'd be like the ultimate way out. Everyone's gonna die.
If you're gonna go, you want to go doing something you love.
So that together we have clarity, direction, and success way beyond what we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast. Now, a few of you have been on at me for quite a number of months about getting this legend that I'm going to introduce you to today on the podcast. And I'll tell you now, if there's one person I'm hyped about having on the podcast, it's this man here. 10-time world champion, owner of Boon Chu Gym in the Gold Coast, Mr. John Wayne Parr. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Mate, it's an absolute honour to have someone who's done so much in the sport, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, all that stuff, on the sofa, mate. Absolute fucking honour. I'll tell you now, I'm so fucking hyped about this. Mate, I think the best place we can start with you is like, how do you, like, you've achieved so much in the game, right? You've achieved so much in the game, and I want to talk about all of it. But what inspired you to even start the pursuit in the game, and obviously going to Thailand and everything in the first place? What kind of really got you into it?
Growing up as an only child, and then my parents were in the horse racing industry. We lived on farms, so I was very isolated from civilization. I was always by myself. And then I just had a fascination with martial arts movies. So just, I'd go to the video store and I'd go straight to the martial arts section. They're all old as and fake mustaches and fake eyebrows and doing the flying through the airs. And it's like, this is amazing. I want to be a martial artist. And then Rock and Roll Wrestling came on TV. And then the Karate Kid movie came out, and it talks about a kid that going to a new school and finds martial arts and finds a new direction. And then Van Damme came out, and it's like, oh, this guy goes to Thailand. This is amazing. So, at the age of 11, we moved to Brisbane, and then there was a Taekwondo school that was close to the home, and that was the first time that my parents allowed me to go out at night time, and it was only like 4 streets away, but at the same time, it was a big deal when you're
when you're that young,
when you're a little kid. And then did my first Taekwondo class and just fell in love with the whole aspect, and seeing everyone in uniforms and having their belts and then having the structure and the karate and hearing the snap of the gi when you're doing a punch. So this is a superhero.
It's just the energy you felt.
Yeah, for sure. And then so my as a young person, I thought, I'm going to be a Taekwondo black belt. I want to travel to Korea. I want to break boards and do backflips and jump off buildings. And then at the age of 13, the Taekwondo school couldn't make enough rent to support the business. So they moved out. And then approximately 6 months later, kickboxing moved into the same hall. And then it's like, it's not Taekwondo. I'll do this until I find another Taekwondo school. And then luckily, from the first class, like, this is even better than Taekwondo. You can punch to the head now, wearing gloves, there's competitions. Just seemed more violent and more exciting.
So it's actually the violence that got you into it?
More so the Taekwondo, there was limited, you couldn't punch to the head. There was different structures, safety reasons, whereas kickboxing seemed more brutal, more realistic. And then especially when I started the kickboxing, the movie Kickboxer came out approximately at the same time.
Oh, Van Damme.
And then he's going to Thailand, he's training with the Thais, and he fights the most fearsome Thai guy. It's like, well, from now on, my whole game plan has changed. I don't just want to be a world champion. I have to go to Thailand and beat the Thais and to be a champion.
Yeah, to beat them at their own game.
Yeah, how am I going to be recognised as a proper champion if I don't beat a Thai? And then I had approximately 13 fights here in Australia, won the Australian title at 17, won the South Pacific title at 19, and then the South Pacific title was the one that helped my Thai sponsor decide to fund me to go and live in Thailand for 6 months at the start.
Yeah.
He said, if you're going to be a champion, you have the heart to go all the way. But if you want to learn from the best, you got to go to Thailand and learn from the best. So we'll go for 6 months, and I'll send you to a Thai camp. So got to the facility, and we were living on a wooden floor, and we had no toilet paper. We had to have a little bucket next to a water basin where you pour water into your hand to wash your butt. And having a shower, even it was cold water. So you splash on, you'd lather up with soap, and then you splash off again. And then after that, then you'd sit on the floor, and you'd have rice for breakfast, rice for dinner, maybe noodles for lunch. There was no cornflakes or toast. It was just a pure culture shock. But then after a couple of weeks, it just becomes normal. It just becomes every day. And then there's no iPhones, there's no internet, there's no nothing. So
you literally went from obviously fighting in Australia. You do your 13 fights, and then you took yourself to complete isolation in Thailand. So you're not living in a place that's got like tourism or anything like that. You're living in probably one of these.
Yeah, Bangkok.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so Samui and Phuket weren't popular at that stage yet. So I was right in the middle of Bangkok, with very close to Lumpini Stadium, Rajananda Stadium, Sanam Luang, where all the temples are, on the Japia River, where right in the and then in the camp you pretty much live in the facility, so there's nowhere to hide. So if you don't wake up in the morning, the trainer just comes up and gives you a kick. Go run. You can't say you
can't just get out of training, can you?
No. you live on the site, so it's impossible to complain that you're too sore or you don't feel motivated to train that day. No matter what, you have to train. And then the Thais expect you to train harder than yesterday. Every day you got to train harder than yesterday. So it's just that
I saw a thing, a video, a clip of you about the gym, and it basically said if you're in the gym and you don't feel like you can train harder than you trained yesterday, go home.
Yes,
that's your whole mentality to it, isn't it? Really,
not their mentality. I was happy to go home, but there's like, and then you got kids that are 6-7 years old. And then if you can't do it, the Thai, well, look at the kid. He's freaking 7. He's doing it. Why can't you do it? It's like,
So just to break it down then for the audience, like what in terms of like levels between like Australian kickboxing, Thai boxing, all that kind of stuff, and then the Thai game. What is the difference? Like how wide is the difference?
In Australia, we do it as a sport and for a bit of shits and giggles. Whereas Thailand, it's their main occupation. And then every fight, if you win, your prize money goes up a little bit, and if you lose, your prize money goes down. So it's good incentive. The more you win, the more money you make, and then the more you lose. And then it's a full-time job. There's no
half cuts.
It's not a hobby. It's
it's a lifestyle, and it's a life.
There's so much more pressure to be successful, because if you're not successful, then you're wasting everyone's time. Even when it came to boxing sparring, my first spar, I lived with a superstar called Sang Tanoi. He was the man. He fought Deckers and Danny Bill and everybody. And then just happened to be the camp that I was at. And then our first boxing spar. So instead of wearing your 10s or your 16s, you wear 18s. So they're super big. They're like big pillows.
Yeah.
And then the first minute, I'm going about 50%. And then halfway through, he stops around and said, "Listen, if you're not going to go 100%, get out. You're wasting my time."
Yeah, because you can't sharpen him up like that.
You're either going 100% or get out. It's like, oh shit. Okay, sure. And then just wars every time we put the boxing gloves on. It's just as hard as you can, trying to kill each other. It's definitely makes it more realistic, but very scary, especially when you're fighting that guy.
Yeah. I mean, to put into context, was this guy a multi-level world champion at the time?
Yeah, he's a man. He was known as like the Thailand killer. So if any Westerners started making a promising career, the promoter would send him in to get the. Well, back then, with the culture, they didn't want Westerners. A lot of the camps didn't want Westerners in their gym because it was their sport, and if they taught the Westerners their style, then the Westerners would eventually start beating the Thais at their own sport. So they were very, very
held back,
isolated, and very. This is us. This is you. Stay away. We don't want you in our gym. And then because they're so proud of their sport too, the last thing they want to do is lose to the Western influence. So I was very lucky to be accepted in the camp. The first Western that they accepted, and then they taught me everything. They they could to become as strong and as and because what happened was, instead of paying gym fees, we had an agreement where very Thai style. So I trained twice a day, get fed twice a day, had somewhere to sleep, had accommodation, and then in return they get 50% of my prize money.
Right.
So the more that I win, the more they get in return.
So they're obviously wanting you to get better and better and better because they obviously want more money for keeping.
Yeah, that's how it works with all the fighters in Thailand. So all the Thais anyway. So that they get 50%. So and then they push people up, and then that's how they generate. And then if you got 10 fighters in the gym, you get 50% off all the 10 fighters. But now. So I got there in 96, and then in 98 the economy crashed, and then all the prize money dropped, and people weren't going to the fights as much because they couldn't afford it. And then with the Westerner influence, they could, if they knew if they get Westerner students in, all of a sudden they could start charging fees and start making money and start making income. Besides the fighting as well. So,
and obviously because you are becoming more and more well known in Australia as an Australian fighting over there, the sport's grown in this country as a byproduct of that anyway. So obviously there's more opportunity for them to get more students into their gyms.
So usually back then, majority of the Westerners would come for a month, have a fight, then go home. I was the first Westerner in probably history to live in the camp full time for 4 years straight, and then so I sort of started a new sort of era where people go long term now. They book their one way ticket and they might stay a year, 2 years, 3 years. But in the old days, it was unheard of for someone to stay full time and live on the circuit and just live for the prize money. So
I mean, just to give people a context, what was the prize money in Australia when you were fighting here, and what was the prize money in Thailand when you moved over there?
Oh, not much. My first 3 fights, I was fighting for $50 a fight. But then you change it to baht, and then you
$50.
Yeah, and then but you could survive because a meal was only $1. A Coke was 30 cents. You could if you live like a Thai, you could live long term. Like a plate of rice was 20 baht. Yet a cheeseburger might be 350 or 400 baht. So I'd either live like a Thai, or if you want to waste your money and then not have longevity. So yeah, you just gotta go old school. Yeah.
So how much were you involved in Thai culture then in Australia and understand the understanding of the Thai culture before you even went to Thailand, or did you understand zero about it, kind of thing?
I have a Thai sponsor that sponsored me for approximately 2 years before I left.
Yeah.
So every day I'd go to his restaurant, and his name's Richard, that owns the Boonshaw in Broadbeach.
Yeah.
So I'd sit in the kitchen, he'd prepare the chicken skewers and and then we just talk about Thailand, about this imaginary land where it's very hardcore and training 4 or 5 hours a day and sleeping on the floor and eating rice and very primitive existence, no furniture, and then surviving off fighting. So it's like, this sounds like the heaven.
Yeah.
I got to get there.
This is your dream.
And then I could say Sawadee Cup. That was about it. And then once I arrived in Bangkok, no one in my area could speak English, and there was no Westerners ever. I was the only Westerner in my whole area, so I go months at a time before I see another white person. And then got to the stage where I go to the shops, and kids would just stop and pull on their mum's jacket and just point. It was like, I stood out like a sore thumb. But then I got weird because after 4 years, when I came home, I just blended in with it, and then no one was giving me any attention anymore. It's like, I'm not the guy anymore. I look like everyone else. But when I was there, I'd thrive off it because, and then once I started learning the language, I got to the stage where at the first week or so, I was all hand signals, like hungry, sleepy, shower. And then I said, I gotta learn. I can't live like this. So I started asking questions. All right, what's this? What's this? What's this? And then I try and learn 5 words a day. And then at night time, I go over those 5 words. Next day, all right, new 5 words.
All right,
what's this? And then eventually they started teaching me sentences where they sent me to the shop, and I want 1 bag of ice. Pom donga and namkang nung tung. And then I say that all the way down the street, and all of a sudden I got a sentence now. So now I can change the ice to rice or something, and then I got that ones down, and then within 6 months, all of a sudden I could basically get away by myself without having to use a translator.
So how long do you reckon it was until you became fluent?
About a year and enough to hold my own. And then they used to play the music all the time. So you start working out what was the hit songs. So I'd go to the music store and I'd buy the famous CD at the time. And then I press play, listen, and then pause. And then I'd write in my book in English, so POM, P-O-M, Dongan, D-O-N-G, and then I'd memorize the song, and then we'd go to karaoke bars, and I'd be the only white guy in the there'd be like 1,000 people all there on the dance floor and stuff. And I'd ask to put my request in.
Yeah.
And sort of look at me all weird. And then when I get called up and I do my song, and there'd be no one on the dance floor, and then I start hitting the notes, and then slowly 1 person, 2 people, 4 people. The dance floor would be full. Everyone was bopping and driving.
Did you ever think at the time, maybe I should have a music career rather than a fighting career?
That was plan B. Once I retired, I was thinking, I should get into this. Because then I'd finish my song, and the guy that was hosting the karaoke was like, do you know any more songs? I said, mate, I know the whole album. Yeah. So then I get like 2 or 3 in a row. It was insane. It was so much fun. And then everyone's like literally like, you.
Yeah. Do you want to give us a verse on the podcast?
Or
Let's go. This is the first time. Can I just say before you start, this is the first time John Wayne Parr's ever dropped.
I've done this all the time. I sing all the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not on the podcast. You don't.
Not this one.
Go on. Let's go.
Sing Dil Ti K Te Jak Bai Sing Dil Ti K Jai Tung Lak Ru Sing Dil Ti K Te Kit Tu Hey Lu Gon Kit Gon Jak Chan Bai.
Oh, touch man. That's cool. That is fucking quality. Honestly,
the songs are very deep too. So there's one where he sings about university.
Yeah.
And then this parents, they save up all their money. The kid finishes high school, goes to university, learns amazingly, gets his diploma, comes out, and there's no work.
Yeah.
And he goes, the only thing I learned from university was how to write neatly.
Yeah.
Besides that, they're picking up kids that are working full time and kids that have been on the scene. But I've got this diploma, but at the end of the day, I still can't get work.
Yeah.
And then I've spent all this money and I'm back at Macca's again. Whereas other kids been on the farm and he's learnt the trade and he knows all the tools, and they're going to hire him before they're going to hire me. It's like, wow, that's pretty crazy. That's a pretty good song. Yeah, it's just man. It's like, the old heartstrings.
Yeah, but honestly, like, seeing that much struggle, going from Australia where life is abundant here, right? Life's pretty good. Like, let's look at where we're living. It's very good. We're so abundantly.
I just lived on the floor for 4 years.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
I know what I'm saying.
The funny thing is, because you live in such like a primitive sort of existence over there, sleeping on a wooden floor, and then you sort of put a blanket down to as your bed. That was the only cushioning between the wood and you was like another blanket, and then and everyone's happy and everyone's joking around, and then you hit Australia, and then they got beds and couches and big TVs and cars, and they're miserable.
Yeah.
It's like, how do people with no money be so happy, and people with money?
So what do you think the reason is?
I have no idea. I wish I knew the answer to that one, but this is before phones too. So we used to,
because Thais are meant to be the happiest people that you'd ever meet.
Every week we'd find a form of way to entertain ourselves. So you might get a plank of wood, you turn that onto its edge, and now it becomes a ping pong net. And you're playing ping pong for a week over just a board instead of a table.
Yeah.
And then next week you might have 2 pieces. You might get a couple of things of clay. You bang it on the ground, and they get one, and they try and bang it on top of your clay. If they get it, they keep it. Or card games, or just any form of entertainment, and then just happiness. It's playing, kicking the soccer ball around in between training. It's just I don't know. I think we have such an easy lifestyle here in Australia that it becomes too.
We're so connected, we're disconnected.
Yeah, pretty much.
So was it hard for you then, after you've been there for a certain amount of time, to come back to Australia? Was it hard for you to adjust?
So easy. And then sleeping on a wooden floor, you learn to strive to be successful, because you don't want to live on that wooden floor. After 4 years, it's like, oh, I gotta win, I gotta train, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, because
So is it a case of like, if you win, you get a bed? Is that kind of what it's structured as, or you all live on the floor?
all live on the floor. Yeah, there's no yeah, it's just the way it is. But at the same time, you know it eventually that you want to try and be a star. So yeah, no, it's just weird. It's just
How long was it over there, John? How long were you over there before you thought to yourself, do you know what, I can be a star in Thailand?
I know. I won my first 9 fights straight. So it wasn't long before I was the very first Westerner to make the front cover of their Muay Thai magazines. The very popular magazine over there. I made the front covers, and I make the newspapers. There's a because it's a national sport. There's a newspaper that comes out every single day.
Yeah.
So making the pages and little scriptures and interviews and because there wasn't many Westerners there too, it was really easy to shine because you're the white guy doing their sport, and dedicated my life to becoming a white Thai, a white version of them. So yeah, they accepted me really fast. There was no racism. There was nothing. They embraced me because I was trying to do my best version of learning the language and learning the sport and learning the culture and doing everything properly, like weighing before I climbed the ropes and praying to the sculptures wherever they needed to do.
Just really cementing yourself in their culture so that they knew that you respected their art.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and then they appreciate, you might not get it right every time, but at least because you're trying to make an effort, they can see that you're trying. So they take them under their wings, and then if we had a big promotion, whether it be a WBA world title fight or something, and then we'd have to go to certain areas of Thailand. We catch buses for like hours at a time and rock up, and then because we're all isolated in a hotel, all of a sudden you start making friends and everyone recognises you from the TV, and everyone would come to my room. I've got the world boxing champion in my room, and I've got another 3 or 4 different other fighters and trainers in my room. We're all hanging out, and it's like, how the hell does this happen? And this is insane. This is so cool. Just because I was trying to be one of them, they just
They just respected you inherently, because you're just trying to you're just trying to be the best version of yourself in that time.
For sure.
Talk me through a day, John, in terms of like training. Like, talk me through how your whole day looked like on an average day in Thailand.
So you wake up about 5. You're on the road by about 5:30. You run for an hour. You get back to the gym. Your hand wraps on. You shadow box for a couple of rounds. You might do the bag for. So they're 5-minute rounds. So you might do 20 rounds on the bag, 25-minute rounds on the bag, and then you get caught up the pads, and you might do 3 to 5 rounds on the pads in the morning. You might do a little light sparring just to go through the motions and getting the muscle memory, and then you finish up with 50 kicks each leg, maybe 300 sets of knees on the bag. You sit-ups, you push-ups, all that sort of stuff. You have a shower, you sit on the floor, you have your breakfast, and then you're forced to sleep during the day, so you got energy again for the afternoon. So then afternoon starts.
You have to change your whole body clock for that then.
I know, that's easy. You're so tired because you've just spent all your pennies in the morning session that you're pretty exhausted, so it's quite easy to just chill. And then, because it's so hot as well, it's 40, 45 degrees, so you got a whirly fan going off, there's no aircon. And then afternoon, I think we start about 3, so it's still 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Run for another 6, 7 Ks. You come back, you shadow again, and maybe another 20, 30 rounds in the bag, and then you get caught up for pads. And then when it's close to fight time, you might do 5 5s on the Thai pads, and then so you do every round. You start the round with 10 kicks each side, nice and fast and strong. Boom, 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 boom. You do 10 kicks again in the middle, and you do the last 30 seconds another 10 kicks either side. That's every round. And then in between those 10-10s every time, every kick after that has to be a double. So you might go 1, 2, double kick, 1, 2, hook, double kick, 1, 2, 3, 4, double kick. So, and then, all right, and the trainer will be on the side watching the clock. All right, halfway, all right, 10-10s, double, double. All right, 30 seconds, double, 10-10s, So, yeah, just exhausting. And you got to walk forward non-stop. You got to be aggressive. You got to hit as hard as you can.
because there's no such thing as being defensive in Thai boxing, is there really?
No.
You just got to go. You got to be relentless, haven't you?
And then you might do 2 or 3 rounds on the boxing pads after the Thai pads, and then twice a week we do the 100% sparring with the 18-ounce gloves on. Then you clinch for half an hour. The grappling with knees. So and that was death because I was in the camp with the champion Sanctinoy. He was the killer. So every 30 seconds I'm on the ground, and it took about a year or so before I started, because they don't teach you either. So you got to learn by feeling. All right, if he does that, I got to do this. If he does this, I got to counter with this.
What better person to learn off than learn off the world champion? I mean, what an education that is.
No, it sucked. It sucked ass. And then you finish up with your 50 kicks each leg, your 300 sets of knees again, your more sit-ups, more push-ups. Oh, sorry. So afternoon, we'd skip for half an hour with a big thick rope that was nice and chunky.
The leather ones.
On barefoot on concrete for half an hour, 6 days a week. And then we'd do all our training, and then we'd run. So morning was 3 hours, and afternoon was 3.5 hours. And that was 6 days a week. And we get Sundays off.
Mate, you cannot do anything on a Sunday after that. You're totally fucked, right?
Well, sometimes the trainers would get this mindset where, all right, let's start going 7 days a week. So if you do 7 days a week, 4 or 5 weeks in a row, it is just death. And you can't argue with them too, because they're the bosses. So you can't say, hey, any chance I can have a day off?
Yeah.
Like, no.
And if you compare...
you got to train harder.
If you compare that to like the Western world where lads are doing their 6 mile run in the morning, they'll eat right, and then they'll do some light pad work for maybe like 8 to 10 rounds, and then they'll do some sparring, maybe 8 rounds. That's kind of a Westerner's kind of the way that Western, especially in the boxing game, that they're probably doing it. That's nothing compared to what you're describing. You're describing 6.5 hours a day of pure utter hell. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? That's
yes.
because after you've done that first run, it's beyond enjoyable. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh no, the run's easy. The run's a warm up.
The run's a warm up, yeah.
But more so, you need 1 day a week to recover, and because if you're going 7 days a week for multiple weeks in a row, you hit Sunday, you train through Sunday, then Monday comes and you just know you got a whole week ahead of you again with just pure intensity.
Just looking at your eyes now, John, the way you talk about it and the way that your eyes scrunch up when you talk about it, just tells me how fucking hard that is.
Oh,
because I can see it in your face, man. Like, even you thinking about it, like, it's fucking hard, man. What you did for fucking years is phenomenal, mate. Because I take it you weren't getting supplementation or anything else. It was just literally like basic food and training your ass off on water.
Rice for breakfast, rice for dinner. So plenty of carbs, but
not much protein.
And then push carbs. Eat. Get as much in as you can, and then
how is your body recovering from all that work with not a lot of protein? Then
you just do it.
You just do it.
You have no choice. And then the Thais are very caveman, like I said. So the education isn't the best when it comes to recovery and nutrition.
Yeah.
So it's just train harder. That 1 day off is just so beneficial for the body. But yeah, when you're doing 7 days,
have you seen like top Thai fighters have to quit because they're just so drained because of how much training their body's doing?
Oh, they some of them just run away. So they'll be in the middle of the night, they'll pack all their shit, and they'll leave in the morning, and then they're just gone.
You've never seen them again.
But they can't go to another gym or train because I own your rights. Once you train with me, you're my fighter, so you can't go to another gym and like in Australia where
really?
top gyms. No.
You can't do that.
I own your soul. So, for instance, I was lucky I was sponsored, and being a Westerner definitely helps. But let's say I'm John Wayne Parr, a Bunchu gym, and then so if I go to, let's say, Fairtex, I can't just be John Wayne Fairtex because Bunchu owns my image and Fairtex would have to buy me off my boss.
Yeah.
So I don't get the money, the boss does.
So it's just basically like slavery.
You're like an animal, you're like a horse.
Yeah.
So let's say you start training at my gym. I spend all this money feeding you, looking after you, getting everything right, you getting strong, you become a star. I've spent years honing your skills, making you who you become, getting your profile up. And then once you become a star, and then if this guy wants you, they might offer me 500,000 or $1 million baht. Let's say $1 million baht.
Yeah.
So I get that money. You don't get the money. I get the money because I'm the one that spent all the money making you who you are. So I've seen multiple times where guys would be training in the gym, and then we'd finish up for breakfast, and then as we're having a sleep, someone would come in. Hey, let's say his name's Dang. Hey, Dang, go pack your stuff. You just got bought. Another gym's bought your weights now, so you got to go straight away. He's like, all right, so he packs his stuff, and then see you guys. And now he becomes the property of another camp now. Yeah, just like that. Boom.
And it's amazing, isn't it? And we're talking about this was happening in 1996, so we're not talking long ago, and it still happens now, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just it's like slavery. But is it good if it might be more beneficial? You might make more money. You might have better living conditions or whatever else. But there's no see you later, fellas. It's like all right, I've got to go. Bye.
And it's just widely accepted that that's how life is there.
Yeah, that's your job. Yeah, that's it.
Fucking hell.
But and another thing. So let's say majority of the time we'd be in the camp. You'd hear a knock on the gate, and then there'd be a mother and father, and then they got their 7-year-old son, and then the camp owner would come out and say, "Oh, I'm just wondering, we're having a hard time financially looking after our little guy. Would you please accept him to your camp to become a fighter?" So the boss would look him up and down, feel his little arms. All right, sure. So then the little kid would wire his parents, and then they give him his bag, like 3 shirts and a couple of pairs of shorts and undies. And then they'd walk away, and then now that kid becomes property of the camp, and he might not see his parents again for the next 10 years. He just becomes, you're now one of us. So then the other fighters in the camp now become his surrogate brothers, and then the camp owners become his surrogate parents. So
really?
Yeah.
Mate, that's wild.
Yeah, and he's 7 years old. So, all right, you're going to be a fighter now. I don't know how to fight. Are you going to learn? So, all right, go and do a 10K run. So, I don't know how. Off you go. You got no choice. And then the first week, they just cry and cry because they're separated from their parents. And it's like, you'll be right. Shush. And then slowly teach him some skills. And then a month or so later, he's having his first fight. And then if it's a good camp, so even from the very first fight, they get a little bit of prize money. Let it be $50 or $20 or something. And if it's a good camp, they'll take their prize money and they'll put the prize money away. And then eventually, that little boy will pay for his own education. He'll buy his own books. He'll buy his own school clothes. He'll buy his own school fees. And then so he'll train 2 hours, 3 hours in the morning, have a shower, cook some breakfast, go to school, come back from school, quickly take his clothes off, put his training gear on, and then he goes for a run. As soon as he gets back in the door, and then he's
they actually put these kids into education as well, then, so they can actually learn as well.
The good camps do, yes. Some other camps the education's frowned upon. Well, it's not frowned upon, but it's just it means if he's at school, he can't train as hard for Thai boxing, and we want him to be a Thai boxer, so we won't worry about the school. But it's a good camp though, and then so he trains 2-3 hours in the morning, goes to school all day. So straight away he trains for another 3 hours. Then he gets home. After training, quickly have a shower, have some dinner, do whatever homework he's been given, go to bed, and next day starts again. And then on the weekends, he has to train harder because he doesn't have to go to school. So then it's even more crazy. So and then he'll have a fight, get a little bit of prize money. He might the owner of the camp might give him a little bit so he can buy some like sweets or whatever, and buy some or whatever.
But that is a real baptism of fire for a young kid, you know.
Oh, they become little adults very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah, they have to learn to survive for themselves.
Have you seen one of these kids that's been dropped off, where you've physically seen them dropped off, and then that kid's gone on to become a world champion years and years later down the track?
Not a world champ. We had one kid in our camp who was 10 years old with 100 fights. So sometimes he'd fight Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. And then in between, so he's working his cardio as he's fighting. So the other days off, he's sort of recovering from the bruise and stuff. But because they're young, they don't hurt each other quite as bad. And once they hit puberty, then they start hitting harder, and then there's more damage. So then they might only fight once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks after that. But the more they fight, the more experience they get, and the more prize money they make. So
the thing that I like about Muay Thai, in the way that you describe it, is the fact that it's not like boxing where you go in there and you could be in the gym like 2 or 3 years before you have an amateur fight. It's like you're fighting the same month that you started the gym, and this kid.
It depends how fast they learn. If it's a fast learner, the faster they get in there, and then you're learning on the job. You know that it hurts. So if you get smashed, legs or smashed body, you soon learn defense because you don't want to get kicked in the leg or you don't want to get elbowed in the face again.
You must have seen some savage knockouts in Thailand.
Oh yeah, all the time. Not just Thailand, just around the world. Fighting is rather brutal. so you definitely learn. But even myself, I know that if I get smashed and something's, I know what I did wrong. So then I can tell you till I'm black and blue in the face, do this, and this when you fight.
Until you learn, you don't know fuck all.
But you just nod your head, yep. But it doesn't sink in until it happens to you, and it's like, now I understand what you were saying about using your blocks and using your range.
Yeah. Everyone can tell you to keep your right hand up,
for sure.
But then as soon as you drop it and you get clipped by someone, that's when you know that shit's just about to get serious. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you need to learn that yourself, and that's only learnt through being in there and through the experience of the game.
Yes.
You ain't going to learn that by just fucking being told it. Oh yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's different. It's a different
weight
level.
in the bag, there's no urgency. But when you're in the ring and someone's trying to
pushing
do,
you,
evil things towards you, then you learn very quickly. And you want to be able to capitalize on that too. Make the mistakes so you can count on them.
And not only that, you're in a country where most of these young lads are cold killers, man. They're trained to be cold killers. They're not. Yeah. They're not in there to fuck around. These boys have been training 6.5 hours a day, eating rice. They're hungry. They're not only hungry physically, they're hungry mentally and emotionally to do this for their families. Do you know what I'm saying?
Plus the Thais, a little bit frowned upon now, but back in the day there was so even if you're 6 or 7 years old, your first fight's 5 rounds with elbows. So there's no modified, there's no amateur. It's straight away. There's only one rule set: 5 rounds elbows, and then it's 5 rounds, and then they have what's known as round 6. So if you dog it or you cower away or you don't fight 100%, and then after the fight you get back to the camp, and then the trainer he might start slapping you around in the back room and. He'll make the kid fear for his life. So who are you going to be afraid of? You're going to be afraid of me or your opponent?
Yeah.
And then the little kid's like, bawling his eyes out, fearing for his life because that's where he lives. And then you can't be afraid of your opponent because when you get back, if you get round 6, it's like, So yeah.
And round 6 sounds to me worse. And
there's no rules in round 6.
Other 5.
First 5 rounds is a referee with doctors. Round 6, there could be.
They actually have doctors in Thailand that sit ringside. I didn't think they did that. I thought it was just all like, just have a go and get in, and if something happens to you, they just cut you off out the back.
How do you get put together after elbows?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
doctors, stitches.
Fucking, then just stitch on the side. Yeah, fucking hell. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. It's crazy, mate.
It's normal.
Fucking.
Yeah, for me, it's normal.
What? How many? Just to break it down, you've had
346
stitches in your entire career.
So usually you pick up like 10, 20. So my first stitches in Thailand, I got 8, and then a couple fights later, I got another 21, and then I came back to Australia, and then I had a fight against an English gentleman, and he cut me 5 cuts, and ended up getting 54 stitches in one fight.
Fucking hell! So
between the 8, the 21, and the 54. So I had 80 plus stitches in three different fights. So they accumulate rather fast.
Yeah, and I'll tell you now, what I'll do is in the description to this podcast, I'll link the image that you shared on Instagram of all the stitches.
So that's a hypothetical. That's a picture of a hypothetical if I happen to have all the stitches at once.
Yeah.
So there was a famous hockey player before they invented hockey masks. So he was blocking a lot of the goalie pucks with his face. Yeah. And then the Time magazine did a hypothetical if he had it all in once. And then when I seen his picture, I was like, that's amazing. I got to do something similar to that. And then a friend of mine worked for the magazine, and they did it for me with their photoshopping skills. And
then you just told them exactly where they all were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. It looks mad. And I tell you now. Fuck.
Yeah, Joe Rogan did a special on it as well. He talked about it on one of his podcasts once. It was pretty cool. It was very, So I usually get my stitches in sets of 5s or 10s, 5, 10, 15, 20, and then it's a lot easier to keep a track of. And then I ended up with my last fight, I was on 340, and then I fought in Japan August 2019, and then the doctor couldn't speak English, so he gave me 6, and I'm like, fuck, now that's going to mess up my whole tally, because I wanted in sets of 5, so it's easier. So, but I'm very fortunate that it's not at 350 yet, because I think 350 would be way too many.
John, mate, I tell you now, right? At 346, you've done your fair share. Talk to me about going into your first world title in Thailand, and kind of like the lead up to that, and how that kind of felt, because obviously that was your first opportunity to really showcase what you did, not only on world level, but show the people back home in Australia like how far you'd come as a fighter.
Oh no, I've been doing heaps of stuff before that. So I had about 50 odd fights. I just won a world title here on the Gold Coast in October against a gentleman called Scott Bannon. I stopped him in the second round with a knee to the body. And then the opportunity came to fight on the King's birthday, year 2000.
Yeah.
So I'll rewind a little bit. So back in 97, so I won my first 9 fights straight, and then the promoter put me up against my first A-class Thai, and then he was a former champion and superstar and world renowned, Thailand renowned, and he cut me 21 stitches, and the fight was stopped round 3. Too much blood, too much gruesome, and then year 2000 came, had the opportunity to fight on the promotion called the King's Birthday.
It's a massive day in Thailand.
So if anyone's familiar with the movie Kickboxer, at the start of the movie, Van Damme kicks Dennis Alexio in the park. They're doing parks, and he's none of that tip-tat shit. Da, da, da. So you know the movie, you know the phrase. And then in that, I got the fight in that park on 4 different occasions. So on the 5th of December every year is the King's birthday. And then people come from all around Thailand to celebrate the king, and they have fireworks, and there's all these different celebrations going around the park, and they put a ring in the middle, 100,000 people in the center, and then everyone celebrates with the best 10 Thais versus the best 10 Westerners. And then this was my 3rd time on it. So at the weigh-in, I've come to the weigh-in, I was supposed to fight another gentleman called Duan Izan, and then I rocked up, and then the Duan, I was 72, I think. And then my opponent only came in at like 70.5, and the promoter's like, "Oh, this isn't good. Your opponent's not up to scratch. It doesn't seem to be at that same category." There's a famous Japanese fighter named Masato. He was supposed to fight Orono, but then Masato heard that Orono possibly has hepatitis, so he didn't want to fight him in case he got cut and got the disease. So the promoter's like, all right, so tomorrow you're supposed to fight Duan Azan, but because Masato's not going to fight Orono needs an opponent, so I'm going to put you with Orono tomorrow instead. And then he cut me 21 stitches, and he was like the most painfulest Thai I've ever fought at that stage. It's like, oh no. And then the first guy I was fighting was a right-hander, and then Orono was a southpaw, so I got 24 hours to completely change my game plan and fight style, and oh no, this sucks. So I ring my trainer. It's like, oh no, they've just changed my opponent. What am I going to do? I said, that's right. I got a game plan. I'll tell you tomorrow. I think this is going to be very effective. It's like, tomorrow? Why can't you tell me now? I'll let you sleep tonight. I don't want you doing your head in. Just don't worry about it. So the next morning came, day of the fight. It's like, oh, what's this game plan? All right, so you know how you usually fight orthodox with your left hand forward? So tomorrow we're going to change you to southpaw, so you're going to fight the other way. I was like, oh, that's not a good game plan. I've never fought that style before. I've never fought backwards. So, you'll be fine. No worries. You'll pick it up. And then from the moment he told me until I got to the park, I just did my head in, just non-stop. It's like, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to fight southpaw.
Had you never fought southpaw up until that point, ever?
Never.
You'd always stayed orthodox.
And then... yeah, so the whole time I'm thinking, I can't do this, I'm going to die. He's a southpaw, he's a naturally southpaw, he's going to destroy me. And then even doing my hands, getting ready, getting warmed up, I'm just thinking, oh no, what am I going to do? This sucks. I might go southpaw for the first round. If it's not working, I just go back to orthodox. I don't think I can do it. And then the fight started in southpaw, and then everything I threw started landing. oh shit, it's working. To end up saying southpaw for the whole 5 rounds, and then end up winning quite convincingly every round. And then then I got awarded my belt in front of 100,000 people live on Thai TV, which was so crazy. So I went from being a 0 world champ to a 2-time world champ all in 3-month period. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And plus I got revenge on the Thai that had previously beaten me. Plus I did it on TV and against on the biggest promotion of the year. It was like such a surreal moment.
Just meant the world to you.
Oh, so crazy.
But do you think you'd built that up? You'd built it up to be so difficult in your mind before the fight that when you actually got in there, it was actually easier for you?
No,
because
it was friggin' terrifying. Unless you've fought in southpaw or trained southpaw, and not even have a training session in southpaw. It's just like, all right, this is what you're gonna do. It's like, holy shit. So,
I mean, I think just walking out in front of 100,000 fucking Thais is
that's another thing. So I did, I fought my first King's birthday, 97. And then, usually with the Thai boxing, we do a little dance at the start to ask permission from the gods. And then it's a stretch and then everything else to warm the body, limber up, and to take your mind to a different place before, competing.
Yeah.
And then, as I'm walking around the ring, just my legs went weak, and then it's just because when you look over the ring, it's just ocean. You can't see. All you see is heads. 100,000 people. Every which way you look, it's just like an ocean of people. And it's like, holy crap. And then ended up burning out in the last round. I went too hard too early and ended up gassing. Ended up just getting beaten my first King's birthday. And then 99. Wow, I got the opportunity to do it again. And then this time I had time to mentally prepare. All right, I'm walking in 100,000. This time I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to shit myself. I'm going to go out there and just absorb it. So when I walked out, take a couple of big breaths and just have a look over the ocean, the heads again. So, all right, I got this. And then ended up having the best fight ever. Ended up destroying the Thai bloke. And then they had 10 Westerners for 10 Thais. And I was the only Westerner to win. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. And then a year later, fighting Orono, this time same deal again. Not only 100,000 people, but now I'm fighting the Star again. And then just tried to absorb the moment and take it in. And then had a brilliant fight again as a southpaw. And then I got to do it again, 2001. And then this time there was little patches right at the back where there wasn't people. So, there must be only like 98,000 here today. Jeez, it's quiet.
Yeah.
Wonder where everyone is. It's like, oh no, there's no one here. So it's 90, 98, 97,000. Jeez, this is what a letdown. I was expecting a big crowd. But when you come back home and fight in front of 1,000 people, it's like, this is
because obviously like I presume like fighting in a casino like the Star or something like that, or anywhere like that, you're only going to fight in maximum like in front of like 1,000 or 2,000 people here, aren't you?
Yeah. At Chandler, I was fighting in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people every time. So even it's okay. But in Thailand they have a lot of outdoor promotions. So the King's birthday is the biggest with 100,000+, but a lot of times 20, 30, 60. That's just normal. All the time you're fighting in front of massive crowds outside. And then it's just a good buzz. It's so much fun, especially when you go to these country places and there's hardly any Westerners there too, and you get 60,000 people and you're not expected to win. And then when you do win, you're high-fiving people and people are coming up and they're looking at you with their big eyes. It's like,
because you must be a giant over there.
Oh, for sure. But just to get their appreciation for you doing their sport and to beat people that you're not supposed to beat. You see the appreciation on the, especially the young kids and stuff. They come up, and they just want to hang out with you. As you're getting your hand wraps cut off, and as you're cooling down and getting changed, they just want to just be in your presence. It's very humbling. It's very cool.
Yeah, I love that. But when you've won those 2 or 3 world titles, and you get to that level, what kind of money had you kind of earned as like a career purse by that point to be able to put some, obviously to say that, look, yeah, you're a world champion, but like what have you got to show for it in terms of more beyond the world championship? Did you have the monetary terms then that you had, or what was the go with that?
For Orono, I got 70,000, which worked out to be about $3,500 And then in Thai baht, that's like a year's wage, probably 2 years' wages. So financially, in Thailand, I was a superstar, but you'd come back to Australia and transfer that money back into Aussie dollars. It's like, it's not the greatest.
So really, then, just to break it, to put it into context, then for the time and effort you'd put into all that sport, for the lifestyle you'd lived, you're a 2 or 3 time world champion at this point, and really, like, cash in the bank, you've probably got like between like $5,000 and $10,000.
Yeah, but I never did it for money.
Yeah,
I've never had this impression where I was going to be a millionaire. I just do it for the adrenaline and for the excitement. Just every single person, eventually we're all going to pass. And then doesn't matter how much rich you are, you can't take that money with you once you go.
Yeah.
But for my life experiences, no one can compare to what I've been able to achieve, and to go to different countries and fight in front of 100,000 people, 4 different occasions, and like that stuff. Like, even though the money's not the greatest, just the memory is priceless. Yeah, you can't put a price on.
I know, and just to think how many memories you've actually got from that time that you spent.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. And then UFC is massive, and they're making all this money, and they got all this exposure. But yeah,
do you wish you'd been in your prime time when that was
I got
involved in that?
Like I just said, what I was able to achieve, especially having the going to a different country and living in a different country and learning the language and learning the culture and learning the art, and then to thrive and to win and to be the guy. UFC came later, and they're all doing their thing now. But yeah, I've poured too much energy into Muay Thai to turn my back on it now. So I'm happy where I am. I want to, when I pass, I want to be remembered for what I did to promote the sport and to promote the next generation of hopefully wanting to fulfill and walk in my footsteps. So.
Yeah, I love that. I love how heartfelt that is from you as well, because obviously, and we'll talk a lot more about your gym and what you're doing in terms of bringing fighters through later on. But the I just think it's such a proud thing for you to be able to do, to go to another country, to assert your dominance the way you assert your dominance, to inspire, tens of thousands of kids in Thailand. By the sounds of it, with just by being the only Westerner willing to do the work.
Oh, just other Westerners wanting to travel to Thailand and to fill their own destiny and their own legacy and everything else. They look at me as, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So,
yeah.
And then
that is a beautiful thing. Talk to me about coming back to when you decided to quit Thailand and then come back to Australia full time. Like,
so
was that a hard decision for you to make? Or
I had a shin infection. So been training, I was getting ready for another fight, and then one morning I woke up and I had like a golf ball and swelling under my shin.
Yeah,
from ankle to my knee was like infected, bright red, and then there was a big lump in the middle of my shin, and then it was a little bit sore. I told my trainer, I was like, "Oh, something's wrong with my leg." And then he's looked at me and goes, "Oh, I know exactly what this is. This is going to hurt. This is going to be rough. We'll go to the hospital right now." So we'll get to the doctors, and we see the nurse. The nurse looks at my leg, and she goes, "Oh, no, I know. This is going to hurt." So, will you guys stop saying it's going to hurt? Because I'm freaking out right now.
Yeah.
And I get in the back room, and the doctor comes in and goes, "Oh, this is going to hurt." It's like, fucking stop it already. I could get the idea. I know it's going to hurt.
I bet at this point you're wishing, at this point you're wishing to yourself, I wish I'd never learned what hurt was in Thai.
No. So they put my leg on top of this steel grate, like it's a big funnel. They said, "We're going to have to lance it. We're going to have to cut the lump to drain the blood out of it." But unfortunately, we can't local it up because it's so full of fluid the local won't work. But we have this magic spray. It's very cold, so we'll spray it, we'll numb it, and then we'll lance it. Whatever you have to do whatever. So all right, so we're gonna do the spray on the count of 3, but prepare yourself because it's very cold. So ready? So 1, 2. And then they didn't even use the spray. They used it as to take my mind off things. And then they lanced me. My god! And then this blood's just bubbling out of my leg and going into this thing. And then
Just looking at you describe this
and
is
then
horrendous.
they had the packet full of dressing, and then I roll it up, and then I wasn't allowed to train for 2 months, and then the doctors, so go back home, and then the first morning laying in bed, and then 6 a.m, they hear the kids kicking the pads, rah, 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 for 3 hours straight. So there's no way I can stay here and not make money for 2 months. We're not able to fight and listen to the Thais, and I think it might be time to go home. So I hobble downstairs, and then I see the main trainer, and I tell him, I think it's time for me to go back to Australia. And then as I'm halfway through telling him, he's so disgusted with my decision that he turned his back on me and walked away, because I was one of his main forms of making money. And then to have your cash cow walk out of the gym is very very bad. So
you were lucky you were allowed the choice to walk out.
Like, I know you're allowed to do whatever you want, but just the fact that I was going home again, it's like, so yeah, he was a bit pissed. But he got better. It was okay after. It was just the initial telling him that was the hard part. And then come back to Australia. We opened up a gym. I took a few boxing fights just to make a bit of pocket money here and there. It was only I was $200 a round. So every four rounds, it was $800. So I took a couple of them here and there, just to get some pocket money to survive. And then once the leg started getting better, I started kickboxing again. And then I was very fortunate that from that moment forward, career started taking off. And then
so this when you set up Boonchu then on the Gold Coast?
Yep.
Yeah.
So end of '99, I got back and then set up the gym in Mermaid at the start.
Yeah.
And then was there for about a year or so, and then it started 2002. So I won the world title December 5th, year 2000.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine, he was boxing at the time, Paul Briggs.
Yeah.
So I thought,
good fighter.
I seen him being successful and making the newspapers, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get nothing. No one cared.
Yeah.
Muay Thai is nothing in Australia. Whereas Paul was doing all the stuff boxing, and he was getting these endorsement deals, and here's a car, and here's this, and you're on the TV, and here's another interview. The fuck, I'm doing just as much as he is in the gym. Why is he getting all this appreciation for what he's doing, and I'm getting nothing? Fuck this, I might go to boxing as well. So I made the announcement, I'm going to boxing, and then I got picked up by Bill Morty, who was the number one promoter in Australia at the time.
Yeah.
And then from that moment forward, all my fights were on Fox Sports, and then money was okay. It wasn't like great.
What's okay to you?
$1,000, $2,000. I think the most I made was 6,000.
And we're talking 4 or 6 rounders here for that.
Oh no, 12s.
12 rounders?
12s. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand that you're training like 8 to 12 weeks for these fights as well, right?
Oh, and I had 2001. I had 9 fights in 12 months.
Yeah.
So pretty much every month almost. So boxed for a year. Ended up having, I think, 13 fights, 10 wins, 10 knockouts, and then won the Australian boxing title. And then I got to the stage where I fought one of Jeff Fennick's guys, Ian McLeod. He broke his hand in the first round.
Yeah.
And then for 11 rounds, he'd move around. He'd hold me for 30 seconds. The referee would break us. He'd move around. He'd hold me for 30 seconds. The referee would break us. Did that for 11 rounds. And then at the end of the fight, he won. I was like, what the fuck? This is so shit.
Now, this is a good point right now. Because I want to drill into how rigged boxing can be. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you can beat a kid up in their own backyard for whether it's amateur, whether it's 3 rounds or whatever, or whether you're a pro, you could beat them up for 12 rounds. Yeah. I mean, I was ringside at Jeff Horn, Manny Pacquiao, and I didn't see Jeff Horn land, right? Yep. And he fucking won.
Yep.
Like, he didn't fucking... He headbutted him, bro. He headbutted him. He beat him by headbutting him.
Yeah.
It's crazy, mate. It's crazy. Like, what's your experience of this, like, in terms of how rigged it can be at the highest level? It's
just so Jeff Fennick's very influential over the judges and the referees. So the other mate, the guy that I was competing against, he'd be swinging away, and Jeff would be cheering as if he was smashing me, but he wasn't doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then, but because Jeff's like so influential, they must have put him down for winning the rounds. And then so after just 12 rounds of just a shit fight, and just to have the old mate win, it's just like I was so disheartened. It's like, oh, screw this, no more boxing for me. I'm going back to Muay Thai. And then I was so sick of Australia. It's like, oh, I might see what's happening in America. So there was a kickboxing forum back in the days, this is before the Facebook and everything else. I put a feel out there. There's any trainers in America that want to take on an Aussie? And then within half an hour, I get a reply from a very famous gym called Master Toddy in Vegas. So he buys me my plane ticket. I jump on the next plane back over to America. End up living there for 10 months. And then the first week of being there, I got to all these posters of this girl, and she's got all these medals and belts, and she was the fighter of the year, and she was this superstar. And I got to meet this chick. Who's this chick? I should be here next week. She's going to fight on the same show as you in a couple weeks' time. And then her name was Angie, and she was the most famous female in America at the time.
Yeah.
And then from the very first second that we met, we just locked eyes, and then we ended up sitting across from me to you for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then,
beautiful, man.
Because we were living in the camp and training together and living together and eating together, we just ended up dating pretty much straight away. And then not long after, we got married. From the moment we met, and then 6 months later we were married, and then
Angie was the biggest female fighter in America in the sport.
Yeah, she was like the Ronda Rousey. She just won the Fighter of the Year 2001. 2000. So she won a gold. She won the very first gold medal for America at the Thailand Amateur Games. So yeah, she was a bit of a big deal. And then at that stage, she was making more money than me, prize money wise. She had more world championship belts than me at the time as well. I was like, damn it, this chick's amazing. This is so good. So
did it intimidate you?
No. So then the camp rap was not so good. It was good, but there was not much opportunity. So we moved out. We moved to San Diego together. Got another gym working at another boxing gym. And then the opportunity came 10 months later to fight in Australia again for $5,000. So I flew to Australia, had the fight, won the fight, got my $5,000, and then I was going to go back to the States.
Fucking hell, the $5,000 doesn't even cover the ticket to get there and back.
So the promoter pays.
Oh, the promoter pays, yeah.
The promoter pays tickets and their accommodation and everything else. So came back to Australia, had the fight, got the $5,000. I've got the Brisbane airport. Okay, got my return ticket.
Yeah.
They said, oh, where's your return ticket to come back to Australia? I said, oh, I got a return ticket, but it's in America. They said, well, that's not going to help you now. We need to see it now, so you have proof of identification that you're going to come back to Australia again. I said, I got it, but it's in America. I said, well, that's not going to help you. Well, what do I do? How do I get to America then? They said that what you can do now is buy a one-way ticket return, and then when you get to America, just cash it in and then use your other ticket to come back. That's easy enough. Let's do that. How much is that? That's $4,500.
Oh my God.
Fuck, I've only got 4.5. Sure, let's do it. So they get this ticket. I give them $4,500. I get to LA, and then the immigration officer's like, all right, when was the last time you were here? I said, well, funny enough, I was here 3 weeks ago. Okay, so where are you living? I'm living in San Diego. Oh, so you admit you're living in San Diego? I said, oh, no. And then they said, so yeah, it ended up saying, no, how long were you here for? I was here for 3 months. You're not allowed to stay here 3 months. You're only allowed to stay 90 days. Yeah, 3 months, 90 days. So they counted from the time I ended to the time I left, 92.
Oh my God.
You're 2 days over.
And you spent that $4.5 grand.
We're going to have to send you back to Australia. You're 2 days over your visa.
Oh God.
This is like 6-7 months after 9/11. So they're like, oh, you're out of here, buddy.
Yeah.
So, no. So then I got to beg the guy, oh, you can't use that ticket. I got another ticket. It's in San Diego. You can't use that ticket. That's $4.5 grand ticket. But I got another ticket that I could use and I can cash that one. And at first he was like, no. And then eventually he seen the sympathy, please. So I wasn't allowed to see my wife. She was waiting for me on the other side. So they sent someone backwards and forwards because there's no phones back then.
Yeah.
And then so my wife, she was 7 months pregnant with our baby girl. So she drove 3 hours to come and get me. She had to drive 3 hours to get the other ticket, and then drive 3 hours again to drop the ticket off. all knowing that I was going to get deported and I couldn't get see her and everything else. And then, so once they find out that I've spent 2 days there, next minute I got 3 coppers either side of me. I get handcuffed. I get led through the airport. I get put in a holding room at the airport. And then I'm sitting there, and then after 10 hours, they come into the room. By law, we have to move you every 10 hours. So they handcuff me again, lead me through the middle of the airport in front of everybody too. So 9/11's happened just a few months prior, and now everyone's looking at me and pointing at me, and I'm a terrorist, and I'm handcuffed, and all these people are. It was like, oh, this sucks. And then I'm telling the security, come on, guys, it's a bit overkill. And they said, it wouldn't matter if you're a 90-year-old lady. It's the same procedure for everybody. So don't feel like you're special. So I get put in another holding room for another 10 hours. And then they come to the room again. And say, time the movie one more time. So this time, now it's middle of the night. So I don't feel so bad now because no one's in the airport. So this time they take me outside and they put me in the back of a police car. And then they take me to East LA jail. I was like, oh no, it's a rock up. And luckily I was only one in my cell. So I'm there for about 8 hours or so. And then, they take me back to the airport in the morning. And now it's like 9 o'clock and it's rush hour. And there's people everywhere and it's shoulder to shoulder. And they lead me through the airport again, 3 coppers either side, handcuffed. Haven't showered in days. It's like, oh, this really sucks. And then there's like a couple hundred people at the gate waiting to catch the plane. And then they put me on the plane in front of everyone first. So then everyone that come onto the plane after that, looking at me trying to get as far away as possible, because I was a terrorist. And then they handcuffed me, let me go. And then they tell me, all right, you're banned from America, so don't come back
they banned you.
Don't come back for 5 years. It's like, oh shit, okay. And then so fly back to Australia, get off the plane, and it's like 4 days later. It's like, what the hell? And now I've got nowhere to live. I've got $500 in my name. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got a pregnant missus that it's in America that I don't know what's going to happen. I take my gear. I walk to the Air New Zealand desk. I give them my ticket. Can I please refund this ticket, please, to get my $4,500 back? They said, oh, unfortunately, there's an 8-week turnaround period where we've got to send the ticket to the office. But we'll send you the refund in 8 weeks' time. It's like, no. So nowhere to live, no $500. Like, far out. This is, you're joking.
What did you do?
So lucky I had a friend that I borrowed a little bit of money off that I swore I was going to pay him back. And then my wife, we had an old car and a little bit of furniture, so she sold everything. She saved enough money to fly to Australia before the baby came. And then, so she had her father was dying of liver disease. So he needed a liver transplant, and then he was in and out of hospital, in and out of consciousness. So she didn't know if she should leave her father who was dying or come to Australia and have the baby with me. And then luckily the dad said, "Oh, you got to be with your husband. You got to share the experience. You got to share the birth." So she saved the money, flew to Australia, and then by this stage, finally got the money, come back, and then from that moment forward, my career just went boop, 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 boop. Started getting offers from Japan and Europe, and the money started going up and up and up and up and up. And then, it ended up being the biggest blessing in disguise that you could ever imagine. So what ended up being the worst experience of my life ended up being the biggest blessing of my life.
It's often the case, isn't it? Like when things happen to you, like when you break up with people, or when adversity happens to you, it's often the making of the man or woman at the time. You know, everything that happens to you happens to you at the right time for the right reason. It's to show you something within yourself, isn't it? Really, in essence, in a lot of cases.
So I had in America, the Muay Thai is not very big. Even to this day, Muay Thai is not very popular. Even though the UFC is so amazing, Muay Thai is not very anyone's spectrum. So so I was working at a boxing gym and I was making okay money, but it wasn't huge. And then as soon as I got back to Australia, all of a sudden these different offers started coming through, and like before, not the craziest money, but the same sort of theory where I'm flying
$3 to $5 grand.
Yeah, I'm flying to Europe now. I'm flying to Italy, Holland, France, England. And then I got a contract with Japan for K1, and next thing I'm fighting in front of 30,000 people in Japan, and they had a TV audience in Japan of about 20 million people. So and then all of a sudden the prize money's gone from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20. And then, the baby's born. So, and now we're set up. We've got the gym, we've got the house, we've got 3 kids. And she loves it. My wife Angie, she loves it here in Australia too. There's no school shootings, which is always a blessing.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, as much as America would have been fun, I wanted to be there for her, but she's so happy that how things worked out, and now we have a different lifestyle here and a lot more certainty.
Yeah, I think. Like you said, you've fought for that prize money. You got your house. You own your house. You own your gym. You got your kids here. Your kids have got a beautiful life here. The kids, I mean, they could have a beautiful life in America, but like you say, it's a bit more of you got to be a bit more switched on over there in terms of what happens to you. And
we have free Medicare here, free schooling. Over there. You ever been to America?
No, I've not been to America yet.
So when you see the homeless, it's quite depressing. So if one person gets sick and they don't have health insurance, it could be $100,000 bill. So if you got a house, you got to sell your house, you got to sell your possessions.
Yeah.
Next minute you're on the street, you got a couple of kids, and then you can't support the kids. And the
It's
kids
mad,
on
isn't it?
It's just like my morning run. I had to change my run because I'd run past all these homeless people, and a lot of them have mental health issues with it. And talking to themselves, and they're clicking and walking around in a circle. It's like, and there's no help because they don't have health insurance. They can't get the help that they need to help get them to the next level. So it's like it was so even though America we're programmed to think that it's a home of the dream, but then when you get there, it's like this is a nightmare. This isn't a dream at all. This is terrible. We're gonna have it so good in Australia compared to over there. Poverty is just out of control, so it was a very big wake-up call.
I've seen pictures recently, like in LA, where there's like whole streets, John, of like people in tents on the street.
That was back in the early 2000s, so I couldn't even imagine what it's like now.
Yeah,
even more so with the COVID and everything else. But and even with the gym that I was training at, we weren't allowed to hold focus mitts or pads or anything. Everything was a big kick shield because I was scared that if there was a mistake and someone got hit on the nose and they got a nosebleed, that they'd be sued. So even training and teaching was such no contact, no this or that.
Is that how you was earning a little bit of cash in America? Then you was just doing a bit of training on the side, so you're training yourself.
Oh, no, I was working 8-10 hours a day in a boxing gym, but the classes were very structured where you couldn't do anything that was going to potentially get someone hurt. So we'd teach in a bag for half an hour, and then we're teaching a big kick shield for half an hour, and then and if you're doing 5-6 classes a day, it's hard to get excited because you can only do so many different combinations on a bag or a big shield, not even like pads, and they're scared if they miss the pad and they get hit that they'd be closed down. So it's really, really sucked. And when I got back to Australia, I was my own boss again, so then I can do whatever I want. So,
how hard is it initially to get the gym off the ground for you, though?
Oh, very difficult.
Because I tried to have a boxing gym in the past myself, and very fucking difficult to even get it past a couple of grand a week in the initial stages. Do you know what I mean? Like, people don't know how much work there is especially in any form of martial art gym. It's just so difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I was very lucky to have a backup career. So even though the gym was just getting by, I was surviving more so off my prize money than I was from my gym membership.
Yeah. So
the gym was enough to pay for the rent, to pay for the electricity, to pay for whatever overheads that happen to pop up. But if I wanted to maintain a nice lifestyle, then that was where I've been competing for so long. Even now, 45, I'm comfortable, but if I want to top up the kitty, I just keep being as busy as possible. So
because I was speaking to you on the way in, and I thought that last fight that you had was your last one, and then you told me you'd got another. You still got a contract for 5 more fights, right?
Yes, for 1 championship, and then so if I get two more fights, hopefully I've paid off my house, and then just to have that, knowing the overhead's done. So after I fought Mundine, I bought solar for the gym and for my house. So electricity bills are now gone, and if I can pay off my house, so I don't have a mortgage. That's another thing that's done. And then whatever I make from the gym is just cream on top.
Yeah.
So
I love how you've invested your money all into your family, your life, your home, your gym, and everything.
Yeah.
So you're now in a position where you're saying that after 2 more fights of this 5, you're completely free of all your bills and everything.
And I want to be that guy that can inspire people that hopefully, through my passion, sure, it was tough and it was very hard, but because I didn't give up on my own dream, that I was able to be successful enough to own my own house, all through punching faces.
Yeah. And I know, but I know fucking how tough you've had it to, and how many years you've put in to get to the point where to pay that house off. I mean, that's phenomenal, mate. To do that, just to pay a house off for your family, to put, fighting Mundine. Let's talk about that, right? I mean, the story as I've got it is you took someone else to spar Mundine, right? Yes. You took one of your fighters to spar Mundine for a fight that he was getting ready for, and then you got the call like 2 or 3 weeks later if you wanted to fight Mundine.
Yeah,
that's how that came about, right?
Yeah. So I took my young guy down the spar. I think Mundine was getting ready for Horn, and then I don't know how it worked out, but somehow or other the promoter called me, and I was preparing for a kickboxing fight in Japan. And say, hey, we got a fight proposition for you. How would you like to have a boxing fight? It's like, my boxing fights, I mostly have made like $6,000. I'm making about 30-40 grand doing the Muay Thai. So
yeah.
So what about if we propose Anthony Mundine? And at that stage, Anthony was the Conor McGregor of Australia when it came to a payday. Holy shit! You definitely got my attention. Sure. So, and then even the Mundine fight, that was only 65.
Because he is a good man. He's a good fighter, isn't he? But he's a big talker. He's a big talker as well.
So even people think, millions of dollars a fight Mundine. It was only 65. I was 50 for the fight, and then we generated another 15 grand through internet sales for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So 65 grand a fight Mundine. So it's not retirement money. It's enough to
put solar on your house,
to buy some nice things, and to put solar on and buy the gym and solar for the gym. But definitely not retirement money.
Do you just a quick one there? Do you own the building that the gym's in?
Yep.
So you've bought the building as well. So you've bought the commercial real estate as well.
Yeah.
That's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Mate. Like, do you know what I mean? Like everything that you've earned out of all this fighting, you've literally bought assets with it, right?
Yes. My accountant, early 2000, she was explaining that there's no superannuation in fighting. So once you're done, you're done. So you really have to think wisely of what you're going to do and how you're going to spend. And the best advice I could give you is invest in bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
That's never going to outdate. So once I started saving a few money, and then I had sponsors that helped me put my deposit down for the gym.
Yeah.
So, but being commercial, I think it was
20%, I should think.
Yeah, it's a lot more money than the house. The house was easy to save up for. So it was about 90K. So we went thirds. And then about a year later, it was 2 brothers. And the 2 brothers had a bit of a disagreement. So they separated. And then one of the brothers said, hey, look, unfortunately, we're going to need our 90 grand back. We'll give you 12 months to pay us. Otherwise, we've got to sell your gym. Oh, no, that sucks. So I had to try and scrounge around and get as many fights as possible and live off 2-minute noodles for a little while. But eventually, I ended up like before, like the whole getting deported. At the time, it sucked ass. But now that I've paid them off, now that I own the gym 100% to myself, and it was another blessing in disguise at the time that sucked. But they ended up turning around and being very fortunate that how it worked out. So I own my gym completely outright now. Oh, not outright, but the accountant's like, you can just drip dry the gym because it's a tax write-off. So there's no rush to pay it off. Pay your house off as fast as you can because that's just money down the drain. But if you can pay the house off and just do what you can with the gym, then use that as your benefit.
So,
Sure.
I love the fact how you've structured it so you own the commercial real estate and you own your own home. You've even gone to the point of like, let's put solar on these places so I don't have to pay bills. Like not many people, especially fighters. What I've noticed about fighters is most fighters money's here today, gone tomorrow.
Yes.
They don't use it. And you to be fair, if you'd come round on the scene about another 10 years after you did, right, from when you started and when you really started to win those first titles, you'd have been in the era that we like where we are now, where you'd be in the prime time, where you could be earning real big chunks of cash, like where you could buy a house every fight.
Yeah.
Like potentially, if you'd been on the right tours, UFC and all that shit, like so. To be able to say that you've earned the purses that you have, which will let's face it, even your highest purses are modest considering the amount of work you've put into your career. But to say that you've got so much out of it, even with the modest purses that you've had, is phenomenal, mate.
Yeah. 148 fights, so you get a lot of change.
Did you ever calculate how much you'd earned for 148 fights in total?
No, never done the maths.
Never done the maths.
Google says I got about 20 million on the so don't listen to Google, because I think Google might be full of shit.
or maybe you're just hiding it from the tax man. Maybe. But how proud are you as a dad now that your kids are now fighting?
Oh, it's amazing. So Jazzy, my oldest daughter, she started fighting when she was 8. And that ended up being a massive media storm because of my personality. The Gold Coast Bulletin threw me under the bus. I gave them a call to see if they want to do a little story on Jazzy when she was 8 before her first fight, because just to have something for a scrapbook so when she's older, there's my first fight. But So they came out, and then me and Jazzy on the back sports page, daughter of John Wayne Parr competing for the first time, shin pads, protection, the whole business, 3 1.5s. Just the kids, just normal kids. Kids are fighting every weekend. No big deal. But because of my profile, they said, do you mind if we come to the venue and we'll do a follow-up story on Jazzy? This is amazing. And then, do you mind if we bring Channel 9 with us? This is even better. This is so good. Not knowing that they were going to scrutinise every single action that I was going to take. So Jazzy has her first fight. She gets kicked in the leg a few times. She starts crying a little bit on the ring, and then the end of the first round, comes back to the corner. I get her to calm down, take some big breaths. Jazzy, come on, you gotta start blocking, start using your range, start using stop getting your leg kicked. And then round 2, she comes out stronger. She starts winning. Round 3, she comes out even stronger again. And then it ended up being a draw. And the crowd is so appreciative of friends and family. As a boxing etiquette, if people are entertained, they'll put $20 or $10 or $15 on the ring, and then at the end of it, you get up all the money and you 50-50. So both little girls made like $150 each. How good's this? This is crazy. Yeah. And then so because I knew the media was there, the next day I went down to the news agents to buy the paper to see if there's anything in the back. And then I get to the news agents, and then I see Jazzy on the front page of the Gold Coast Bulletin. It's like, oh no, this isn't good. And then the title of the heading was "Venue full of drunken yobbos screaming for 8-year-old blood." It's like, what is this? And then I read the story inside the paper, and it's just like just shit. Yeah. It's like, oh no, this is terrible.
And they've spun it as if you're getting your 8-year-old to fight for cash.
And then, so the next morning's Monday, I go downstairs, I put the bins out. No, I'm just about to go downstairs, and I hear a knock. It's like 6 a.m. That could be. So I go downstairs, open the door, and it's the day tonight where they got the TV camera right in my face. Yeah. Oh, we want to do an interview, an exclusive interview. I said, it's 6 a.m. Everyone's sleeping. I said, is there any chance you can come back probably about 8 or so? Wait till everyone wakes up, have some brekkie. Yeah, sure. So I go downstairs a little bit later to take my bins out, and then there's Today Tonight sitting in the car outside my house. It's like, I thought you guys were going to come back at 8. So unfortunately, we can't leave. If another film crew happen to rock up right now, we lose our exclusive because we're here first. We get the first exclusive. That's strange. Anyway, so 8 o'clock comes. We go to the gym. Jazzy does some little pads done some pads, some kickings, does some bag, does some sit-ups and push-ups. Does the interview. Everyone's really good. Everyone's smiling and happy. And then so they take off. And about an hour later, the producer rings up and says, "Hey, this is such and such from Today Tonight. Unfortunately, we can't run your story because you guys seem too happy, and there's a different storyline we're trying to run, and it's not going to work with you guys being so enjoying what you do. I said, if we can give you any word of advice, we tell you to turn your phone off because you're today's number one trending story. So what? And then the second they hang up, from that moment forward, it's like just bang, bang, bang. B105, Triple M, Courier Mail, the Perth Radio, this TV station. It's like, holy shit. And then answering all these calls. And because one, I want to protect my family, and two, I want to protect my sport. How could you put her in the ring? It's like, it's not safe, but at the same time, being a parent, watching my child excel at a sport that she really enjoys, and having doctors there and everything else, and the rule sets, and she's wearing protection. It's just like a big pillow fight at the end of the day. Yeah. But and then I get a call about 4. Can you come to the Brisbane River and do the 7 o'clock project? Want to do a exclusive interview? Sure. So drive down to Brizzy. Jazzy, you want to jump in the car? Since it's about you, let's jump in. Get to Brisbane River, and then the producer's like, she can't be on the cross, on the live cross because she's underage. Yeah, but the story's about her. You want to do a story? Yeah, but she can't be on the cross because she's. It's like, and then she starts crying because we've drove all this way, and it's like, I know you've upset my daughter. Now she's upset. So whatever. And then they put their headphones on, and then I just want to tell you before the interview starts that we're a fast-moving news agent, and then we want to try and keep limited your answers to 30 seconds. And then I can hear him talking on the intro. All right, so we've got John Wayne Parr on the line. He's a world champion kickboxer. Puts his daughter in the ring. So, John, tell us, is it true that you're trying to live your dreams through your daughter? It's like, what? What are you talking about? And then, just scrutinise, just under the bus for the whole entire segment. It's like, what? It's just fun. She made $150. She got to do the sport. She's so happy. She's living the dream.
Yeah.
She's got a trophy. She's so excited, and you guys are making it sound like Fed of the Crocodiles. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then so that went on for 2 weeks, just getting and then it got to the stage where Good Morning America flew out from America to come and do an interview on her, and at BBC TV came to Australia to film her as well and do all these different things, all because she was 8. And then once we hit England, they changed the tune. They said, well, we want to get girls into the front line of the army, and then his girls want, because she's a girl. If it was a boy fighting, we don't care, but because it's a girl, we're going to make all those things. But when it comes to the army and the front line, we're happy to chuck it. So what's the difference? It's like everyone started changing their sort of perception then. It's like, that's a good point. That's a good point. We want equal rights. It's like, this is exactly right. And then from that moment forward, so another gentleman, after about a week of shit, a guy from the Brisbane Times, he emailed me saying, I can't believe the media is throwing under the bus so hard because I do Taekwondo with my kids and we love it. We think it's amazing. We think martial arts is such a good sport for everyone growing up. The best advice that I give you is today's news is tomorrow's fish and chip wrapper. So whatever they take, just stop answering their calls, because the more you feed them, the more they're going to try and...
the more they keep you current.
More you throw you under the bus. So if you stop answering them, they'll stop ringing. So it's the perfect analogy. That's perfect. So as soon as I stopped sort of putting it in that perspective, everything changed. And then and then as soon as they stop picking on you, then they'll pick on someone else. Then they'll move on. And then a couple of years, say Jazzy ended up retiring. She was like so disheartened that she got treated so badly by everybody. And the worst part was you'd pick up the paper and you'd read all the story and you'd think it was embarrassing. Then you go to the shops. And then people would tap around the shop, hey, I read that story. Don't listen to the story. I grew up doing martial arts. I love martial arts. I think martial arts is awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. And then the positivity of people on the street compared to what you're reading was completely different contrast. Every single person that I've seen on the street saying, keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. It's so good to see her living her own dream. So even though the media was crap, the people on the street, they couldn't pull the wool over the people's eyes. So it was so supportive. It was really cool. And then so Jazzy retired, and a couple of years later, she came back again. And then her first fight back, she front kicks this girl in the face, and then the girl goes down and she gives up. And then the next day, she's on the front page again. And then the title was "The Knockout Queen's Back." Now she's 11, and now she's it's like now it's funny. Now you guys are just a joke. It's like she's 11 now, and she's doing the same stuff, and you still guys want to run the same storyline you ran 3 years ago. And then she started fighting in England and winning belts, and fighting in Canada and fighting in Thailand and winning. And then they became fans. Oh, we always knew Jazzy was going to be a star. She's always had our support. So no, you guys are jumping on the bandwagon now that she's becoming someone.
Yeah.
But before, you tried to throw us under the bus. You almost made her retire because of all the scrutiny. Yeah. And now she's famous.
And this is just a young girl that's just doing what she's passionate about. You know?
She just wants to follow mum and dad's footprints. She sees me living the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I want to live that lifestyle too.
Well, of course, because by you being around her all that time, and by her seeing all that stuff, she's naturally going to want to do it, isn't she?
Well, I own a gym, so the moment she was born, she's been in that environment her life. So for her to see people sparring, hitting the bag, hitting the pads, fighting every few months, and going to the shows and sitting in the crowd and getting the hand raised and getting the accolades, why wouldn't I want that as well? That's awesome. I want to be like that.
Did she, from her perspective, do you think that she ever found it hard with you being her dad, with all the accolades that you'd won?
Oh no, she loves it. So I remember, I think she was approximately maybe 13 or 14. I fought in, I did my own promotion. It was one of the first cage Muay Thai shows here in Australia. I fought a gentleman from Holland, and I stopped him in the third. And then I remember getting my hand raised and getting a belt and getting pictures, and Jazzy jumps up in the cage, and then she's like, I remember her looking up at me with the big eyes going, I'm so lucky to have the best dad in the world. This is so cool.
It's beautiful, man.
It's like, wow. It just made everything
powerful. That's powerful shit.
Yeah, when your daughter's looking up there with that genuine appreciation. I can't believe you're my dad. You're like the coolest dad ever. It's like, right in the feels, right in the feels.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm tearing up. I'm just tearing up hearing about it, man. Like, that's some crazy stuff.
And then we'll get to be in the gym every day. We live a cool lifestyle. I don't have to have a real job. And then it's like, I want to do what you're doing.
Let me just tell you something. The job that you've done is a lot harder than a real job. Fact. Like, there's no doubt about that. The training you've put in, 6.5 hours of training every day, like you were doing in Thailand, is like equivalent to working a week's worth of job in Australia.
Yeah,
like,
but I do it. If I wasn't doing it, getting paid, and I had a normal job, I'd still be doing it for free and paying someone to teach me what I'm doing.
Yeah, because you just loved it that much.
So to be able to make a
living out of it,
to turn a hobby into a profession is definitely a dream come true. It's so cool. I wouldn't want to have to work 9 hours, 10 hours, and then have to go training after that. It'd be impossible.
So what's her record now as a fighter?
She's 27 fights. I think she's 23 wins. She's fought in Canada once, England twice, and Thailand 3 times.
Yeah,
so
man.
she won.
She had a massive fight in Thailand, didn't she?
She had 3 massive fights in Thailand. So she won the first 2. Her first fight in Thailand was in front of 20,000 people in a park, like I was talking about before. Outside promotion, she fought one of the young Thai girls that was coming up on the ranks and a superstar, live on Thai TV.
I'll have to get her on the podcast to talk about it.
And then she won that one, and then she won that second one. And the third one she should have won, but somehow or other the judges were a bit iffy, different scoring. But she's had 2 fights in England for 2 wins. Oh no, she just got beat a second one. The first one she won a belt, and then in Canada she just got beat as well. So, but yeah, did she win that one? I can't remember. It's too many.
Just think, right? If you had never gone to America, you'd have never seen all this from your own daughter. So it's mad how things work out, isn't it? My
son, he's 13. He started competing when he was 8, kickboxing first, and now we've got jiu-jitsu in the gym. So now he's gone jiu-jitsu crazy, where he's competing every couple of weeks. He's one of the leading kids for his weight division, his belt category in Australia.
Yeah, what belt is he so far?
He's only a grey, but he's competing all the time. There's a thing called there's a certain website. They can have all the kids' records and
rankings,
and Jesse's number 1. So
that's quality. It's obvious with you that fighting's gonna fall into the family, isn't it? Like at the end of the day, especially with a man like you, and then Angie with everything she's achieved in the sport. I mean, come on. I mean,
and then we've got a 7-year-old that's also crazy about the BJJ and also wants to start competing Muay Thai as soon as possible. The other two kids started fighting when they were 8, and she wants to fight when she was 7, just so she's more dominant than those two. She doesn't want to be 8. She wants to do it before she's still 7, just to show the other two.
And do you reckon they'll all have? Do you reckon the other two will have professional careers as well?
Oh, for sure. My young guy's obsessed. He loves the jiu-jitsu. He travels to different gyms with our professor on the off days that we're not training at my gym, and then he might do 2 or 3 classes in one day after school. Just to pick up his skills, and I've told him as well, if you don't have to ask me to compete in any competitions that are coming up on the line, just do it. I'll support you either way. The more experience you can get on the mat, then the more experience you'll have later in life as well.
Yeah.
So he has that same mindset as myself, where he's seen me, and then if you want to accomplish something, the only way you're going to do it is to do it. You can't talk about it. You got to get in there and achieve it for yourself.
In regards to mindset, because everything you've achieved and everything the kids are achieving now, it is all mindset.
Yes.
For the audience listening to this, like what if there's 3 key things like the learnings in terms of your mindset that you could drop on the world, what would they be?
If you want something bad enough, you'll make it happen. Don't make excuses. You can talk about it all day. There's nothing worse than someone that tells you how great they are. Well, if you're so great, show me. Yeah. Don't talk about it. Do it. Tell me about your wins. Don't tell me about how you're going to win. It's so much easier when and then going, especially after having so many fights as I've had. When people win, the conversation. How'd you go? I won. Conversation's done.
Yeah.
How'd you go? Oh, well, I was going to almost won, but this and this. And then the story for coming seconds this long, where when you win, it's like, I won. 2 words, I won. Yeah. Conversation's done. So, and then, there's the only person that can stop you from achieving is yourself. Don't listen to mum and dad. Don't listen to your friends. Don't worry what they think. If you want it bad enough, who cares?
There's so many people limited by their parents.
Oh, for sure.
Many.
For sure. And then it's hard, but if you're willing to persevere and sacrifice, even if you don't become a super duper star, if you can learn enough skills where eventually you get a job in a gym, you still get to live the lifestyle. You still get to teach and hold pads and pass on your knowledge, and then might not become the champion, but the person you train can possibly become the champion. So either way, you still get to live the lifestyle. You still get to going to work's a pleasure instead of going to work thinking, oh no, I hate this job. So it's better to not make as much money as everyone else, but love what you do instead of trying to be successful in something that you hate.
Happiness happiness has to be the key focus.
Oh, for sure.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you see so many people out there that are not happy where they're at, what they're doing, this, that, and the other. They put their goals around things that don't really, get, like, let's just say a car or a house or a monetary goal, which don't really add any value to your life beyond achieving, that little. It's not worth anything. It's not worth anything, is it? It's like, whereas it's clear to see that you've put it around family, you've put it around following your purpose, you've put it around providing something, a legacy as well, like providing for your family, like the whole thing. It just seems like your whole career has all. It just seems like the question you've asked yourself every morning is like, what makes John happy today? Okay, I'm going to do that.
And then if I have to teach 3 or 4 classes in a day, I'm in a room full of people with the same passion that I have, and then it's just fun. It's not considered work per se. It's just going doing what I wanted to do anyway. So I just get to share that with a room full of people that has the same passion that I do. So it makes it's just enjoyable. And then watching people, today someone comes in, they're kicking this high, and they come in a few days later, next minute they're kicking this high. And you can see the exhilaration of them knowing that they've achieved something they wanted to achieve as well. So then you're both happy. You're both like, yeah, I can't believe how well you're doing, and you're doing so strong, and you're being, they might have a fight, and they get the little trophy. And then 10 fights later, they get their first belt, and it's like, wow, we're achieving this together.
I know, because one of the things we haven't talked about on here that we should really touch upon is the fact that you've had like hip replacements and stuff like that. You've been through some serious surgeries and come back, haven't you?
Yeah. Just before we change the subject, so when you see someone come into the gym, they have no idea how to hold their hands up, they have no idea about footwork or how to strike or balance or anything, and then it's like molding a pot. And then you start off with just a ball of clay, and eventually, and then you have this masterpiece. And that's what every day when someone comes into the gym,
and that's where you get that, and I can see it lights you up. That's what lights you up, seeing that development inside another person's life, because they might have things. Even when a lot of people that do a martial art have a lot of shit going on in their personal life that they're trying to perhaps get away from sometimes. And when you're around a martial art like boxing, like Muay Thai, like this, it allows you to go and just be. It's like meditation. It's like in that is your peaceful place, that gym, that environment.
And then because it's a lifestyle, you're eating healthy, you're keeping fit. You've made new friends that have the same passion as you do.
Yeah.
And it's an enjoyable. All right, Steve, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll hop out to each other tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. And now you. All right, I got to be at the gym tomorrow because I told Steve I was going to be there. And then you have this new, completely different. Instead of finishing work, cracking a beer, sitting in front of the telly, listening to the news that's telling you the world's ending, or we're going to war, or it's just depression.
Yeah, it's just negativity.
You get to the gym, you turn off from the world, you're exhausted, and you're sweating, and but then after the session, you feel alive. You have that endorphin rush of having a good session. And then, all right, I'll see you again tomorrow. I'll see you, Steve. Yep, see you tomorrow. Yeah. And then you got a purpose. I'm gonna make sure I see Steve again tomorrow because he's holding pads on me. And then it just gives happiness. Martial arts is violence is the answer. I don't care what anyone says. They try and breed into you that it's not, but it is. Violence is the answer.
I'd add to that. It's controlled violence.
Controlled violence.
So at the end of the day, right? All martial arts are a set of skills that could end anybody, taught in a respectful manner, and by teaching them in that respectful manner as an art form rather than as just go and hit someone in the face for no fucking reason.
Oh, for sure.
That level of respect that you're taught carries on through every element of your life. So we're in business, in the way that you treat women, in the way that you operate as a man, in the things that you will and won't accept in the world. Like, it all comes from that form of going to a boxing gym, going to a Muay Thai gym, going to these places. And the generally speaking in life, the people that don't want to fight you, the people that don't want any animosity with people are those people. Like John Wayne Parr does not walk down the street and pick a fight with someone because you just wouldn't do that. No. Do you know what I mean? But it's usually the people that can't.
Money. I'll only fight that person for money.
Yeah, 100%. You want to get paid if you fight, right?
I'm not running a community service here. I want to get paid.
No, but there's lots of fucking juiced up people from these world gyms and that just because they look big and they got tattoos, they think they can fight and they can't fight for shit. They couldn't box eggs in coals, man.
Another thing it teaches is if I want to achieve something, it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
So I know that, all right, I want money. All right, the only way I'm going to get there is to be successful. Yeah, especially when you're living on the floor for so long. Every night when you put your head on your pillow, it's like, I have to make sure that I'm not like this forever. I want to try and become somebody. I want to leave a legacy. I don't want to pass and have people forget all the work and everything that I've achieved. I want to make sure that it lives on.
I don't know whether you're very I don't know whether, John, you're a very spiritual person, but I've been reading a lot more about this spirituality type stuff over the last 12 months, and they say that people when people come to the planet, they have a karmic destiny, and like a karmic destiny of things that they have to achieve in their life. And it just seems very much to me, when you've spoken right the way through this podcast, that it was like a karmic destiny of stuff that you had to tick off in order to leave this legacy, in order to inspire these kids. There's a bigger thing to it than just, just money and all this other crap that goes along with it. It's just
the legacy thing was from 13 years old. I've told myself the whole time, I'm going to do this for a purpose, is to make sure that I'm not forgotten.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at Muhammad Ali and a gentleman called Raymond Deckers and Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
All these guys have set the bar. So after they passed, like, their legacy is stronger now than it was when they were here.
Yeah.
So that was my plan.
It's a shame though that sometimes a man like Bruce Lee or Muhammad Ali has to pass before he's truly appreciated in the art form. But it's often the way with fighters that when you pass, that you people are like, fucking hell, like, now I appreciate how fucking good he was. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just a sad state of how the world works. But either way, they're going to remember the name John Wayne Parr, so I won't worry about that. And probably your sons and daughters' names for years to come as well, man. Your family will go down with a legacy. I just want to before we go, I want to break down some of this adversity you went through, because obviously, like I was saying before, like, you came back from you've had full, like, hip reconstructions and all that stuff, and you're still a young man in the game, like, really. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how fucking hard is it for a man of your age to get a hip fucking replaced and then to come back to fighting?
So, funny story. So hip's been given problems for approximately 2 years, getting progressively worse every week, and then the 2019 August, I'm fighting in Japan. The lead up to the fight's excruciating. Every day is just agony. And then
because you fought an absolute killer in Japan, didn't you? He was a killer, wasn't he?
No, he was okay, but he's not a killer. And then so I get the fight proposition to fight Anthony Mundine. I'm thinking, oh, thank God, don't have to kick for 10 weeks in the lead up, which is going to be a blessing in disguise. So I go get an MRI to get a cortisone. And then the gentleman takes the MRI and he looks at me and goes, oh, your hip, there's nothing left. There's no cartilage, just bone on bone. You got this cortisone injection. Technically, I shouldn't be giving it to you, but because you're fighting Anthony Mundine, we'll give you one more, but this is the last one. After that, that's it. You're going to have to get a hip replacement. So another doctor looks at my scans and he goes, oh, look, because your hip is so gone, even though there's 8 weeks to go before you fight Mundine, we suggest no more running, because your bone is so brittle right now that there's a good chance that your femur head might snap on one of your runs.
Oh my God.
So for 8 weeks, every morning when I was putting on my shoes, I'm thinking, oh man, I hope my hip doesn't snap this morning, because that's going to really...
So you ignore them.
I'm fighting Anthony Mundine.
You got to do the road work. Yeah, I know the game.
I'm fighting Anthony Mundine over 10 rounds. So Muay Thai is 5, and now I'm fighting 10.
Yeah.
And then this is my Conor McGregor for Australia. This is the man. So you
got to put that stamina in the tank, otherwise you got no engine.
Yeah, and then even though it was agony is not. Victory is more important than agony.
Yeah.
So even though I was every night just lay in bed, just can't sleep because of the pain, hopefully by the morning the pain will subside enough so I can get through another day. And then every morning as I'm putting on my shoes, I'm thinking, oh, should I take my phone with me just in case my femur head snaps halfway around the headland and I'm stuck on a path when no one's walking past, and I've got to ring an ambulance or something.
Man.
So and then luckily I managed to get through the whole fight and got through the fight, and then luckily for me, after the fight, the hip got to the stage where I couldn't even hardly walk. I couldn't weight bear. Every time I took a step, my hip would give out. And then luckily I got the Birmingham resurface. So the resurface isn't quite like a full hip replacement, so you can still go back to an active lifestyle. You still compete in sport and still do everything else like you normally would. And then that's got about a 15-year expectancy before you have to get the full replacement then. So I was very lucky from surgery. I was back in the cage fighting again 10 months later against the number one guy in the world from Holland, Nicky, on one championship last April. So hopefully I got 5 more fights on my contract. The hips feels good. Get a few more fights, and then we'll see what happens after that. But for now, just keep living the dream.
Do you ever sit there and think to yourself, do you know what? I'd rather just call it a day and keep my health as it is, and because when you do get to your age, it is a fucking massive risk fighting the type of men that you're fighting.
Nah. Just another day. Just normal. I'm willing to. If I died in the cage, it would suck. But at the same time, that'd be like the ultimate way out. Everyone's gonna die, and I'd rather die fighting than die shitting myself and dying of an evil disease.
If you're gonna go, you want to go doing something.
I'd
you
rather
love.
go out on my shield. Wouldn't be fun for the family. It'd be terrible, but at the same time, it'd be the ultimate warrior sort of passing.
When you say that, John, it gives me fucking goosebumps because of how
I don't say that to be cute either.
No, because
100%.
No, and that's why I got goosebumps, John. Because when you say that, I know how fucking I've got goosebumps all over my body because I know you're telling the truth, that is some deep shit. And I've been ringside to some fights where people have got seriously fucking hurt, and I've even seen live on TV someone who I know carried out the ring with brain bleeds and all sorts of shit. And this is a dangerous game we're talking about. And,
for sure.
And for someone like yourself to say that and mean it so deeply, that doesn't go lost on me at all. Like, that's some serious shit. So, mate, full respect to everything you've done. Full respect to your fucking career. I just fucking massively appreciate your time today, my man. You've achieved way beyond what other fighters have, and are still going to do it. And as for the kids following in the footsteps, and everything that Angie's done, and the beautiful family you have, and the gym and the home, and just seeing how everything lights you up has been truly inspiring to me. I mean that. Solely mean that. If there's one bit, if you were going tomorrow, John, and there's one piece of advice and guidance that you could leave the world in this moment, what would that one most powerful gift be left today?
If you can't do martial arts, I believe get your kids into martial arts, because it doesn't have to be kickboxing or boxing or anything brutal. Could be jiu-jitsu, could be karate, could be taekwondo. But it shows the young adolescents, gives them a purpose. And then they know from their experience that the more they put in, the more they can benefit from them. And once they learn that in martial arts, then they can take that to their business life or their social life. Nothing's given to them on a platter. They have to work for everything that they get, and martial arts is the perfect example of how to achieve greatness. So whether it's been keeping fit or staying healthy, or be able to protect yourself, or be able to protect your friends or your family, it's
powerful shit.
And gives, like I was saying before, once you start making that lifestyle and generating those friends and having a purpose, or I've got to go to training tomorrow, I've got to meet Steve again to work out because he's relying on me to be there. And then to have that, like I was saying, that good energy from a good session, it just makes you feel you'll walk out of the gym with a spring in your step, and you can't wait to get back there tomorrow because you just had so much fun. Hopefully I have this much fun again tomorrow. Yeah. So, and it just gives you that confidence too. There's nothing worse. We live in such an age, we're sitting in front of the TV and it's just depression. And then, but people are so much stronger than they think they are. And when you're in the gym and you can start learning the skills and you start hitting the pads, and you realize, hang on a second, I'm more stronger than I ever thought I could be. So yeah, people don't have to be the victim. They can be the hero of their own story if they want it bad enough.
I love that. I love it, man. I love it. Do you know what? Right, that's probably the longest thing that anyone's said at the end of the podcast. But it's also one of the most powerful things that anyone's ever said, because I honestly believe that martial arts are the key to success in business, are the key to success in your mindset, are the key to success in building self-belief, in building who you are as a human being, and teaching someone compassion. Because when you get beaten the fuck out of the first time in your life and you're laying there on your back because you've just been put down by someone who's fucking levels upon where you are, and they treat you with humble respect and they're kind to you, that teaches you a whole new level of humility that you never get from any other thing. And that's just from me to you guys. But anyway, that's John Wayne Parr, one of Australia's fucking national treasures, I might say. And look, if you could, John, do you want to drop your website for your gym and your Instagram and stuff so people can follow you and get in touch with you? And I'll put the links in the show notes as well.
So my gym is Boonchu Gym, BOONCHU. And then in English translated, it means blessed by the gods. So it's very deep, it's very powerful, it's very strong. And then all my social media is just John Wayne Parr, PARR. Then I like to have a giggle. I like to make memes. I like to have take the piss out of myself. For my theory in life is people either laugh with you or laugh at you. But if you can make them laugh,
that's the win.
You're winning.
You're winning.
So if you take the piss out of yourself and make everyone laugh at you, then you're making people laugh. So therefore you won.
100%, guys. 100%. So just click the links in the bio or go and follow John. If you guys can do us a solid favour, and you love this podcast as much as I've loved sitting here with John, and you feel the heartfelt messages that John's put out here today, if you could just send myself and John a message on Instagram, let us know how you felt about the podcast. Share the podcast with your friends, share it with your family, share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook. Drop us a comment on YouTube. I appreciate you. You can follow me at Frankie Lee on Instagram. And I'm just saying thank you again, John Wayne Parr. You are an Australian treasure. Much love.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee Podcast.